Thank you. All right, this might be the most intimate. I'm a sportscaster, by the way, with NBC, so this is a very intimate gathering, but I like it. And I'm really curious as to how my talk is going to resonate with you guys here today, because I'm pretty sure as a precursor that what I'm about to say is probably very atypical from any other talks you've heard today and or talks you will hear coming up tomorrow. But here we go. We're going to start by getting a little interactive, a little audience participation. Ready? We're on. Awkward silence. Did you feel that? Did you sense that? We just shared a moment. You were looking at me wondering, all right, what's this cat all about? What's this Hawaiian Italian dude going to say? How is he going to say it? And I was doing the same. I was checking out my intimate audience here today in San Francisco. And I was eyeballing some of you. Now listen, if we were in New Zealand and we were part of the Maoris, me looking at you, this is a sign of disrespect. It's a sign of confrontation. If we were in the animal kingdom, part of the gorilla family, silverbacks, and I'm eyeballing you, this is me asserting my domination, realigning the pecking order, letting you know that I'm the alpha male. I'm controlling the stage today. We just interacted. We just communicated. And we did it all without a phone and or your laptop. What? I'm of Hawaiian and Italian descent, all right? That's going to be a recurring theme. That's the second time I've mentioned that, and we're only a minute and a half in. Mom is from Hawaii, dad an Italian from the New York, New Jersey area, and on Sunday nights, my mother would put together these authentic, these real deal Italian meals. For any of you fellow paisans that might be in the house, you know what I'm talking about. Where you start with an antipasta, then there's a pasta, then comes a soup, then comes a salad, then comes the chicken, and then, oh yeah, you get to your main entree. Wash it down with some spumoni ice cream, go to bed for 10 days, have an angioplasty. But it was there at those dinners, family and friends. And when I was a kid, you didn't just get up and leave the table and go play with your brothers and sisters. I had to be excused. And invariably, I'd be in the other room playing, and then I would get summoned. I'd get called back into the dining room where my parents are entertaining friends and drinking wine or what have you. Now, my middle name is O'Brien. I was named after an Irish priest, but that's another story for another time. But I grew up Obi. So I would hear an OB, and I'd go back into the dining room, and my dad and I, we used to go to bed. I think I got a shot of Pops. Where is he? Yeah, that's the kahuna at age 3. That's me. We'd go to baseball games when I was a kid. We'd go watch the Oakland A's play. And my dad would say, I'm like 5 or 6 years old, my dad would say, Obi, tell everybody about the game. And I go, yeah, Dad, all right. And the 2-2 pitch had swung on a drill down the left field line. That'll score 1 run, that'll score 2 runs, and Dad, the A's go on to win it with a final score of 5-3. Now, Dad, let's send it back upstairs to you. Then my dad would giggle, he and his buddies, and he'd say, all right, get out of here. And I go back and play with my brothers and sisters. I tell you that story for 2 reasons. First of all, to let you know that's why I'm on stage. That's why I talk on camera for NBC and Fox Sports my entire life, because this has been in my DNA since I was a child. And secondly, and almost more importantly, as a Hawaiian Italian, there's that theme again, we're always communicating, verbally or gesticulating. On my Hawaiian side, my sisters, they had to learn the hula, right? Now, you can learn the hula as a boy or a man, but for whatever reason, me and my brother were exempt. When you're learning the hula or dancing the hula, you're telling a story non-verbally, right? You're moving with the trade winds. They tell you when you are dancing the hula, every part of you, right, is telling a story. You're emoting a message. You are dancing from your eyelids to your toenails. You are dancing and telling that story. And on the Italian side, we talk, they say, equally, both non-verbally as well as verbally. They trace that back to hundreds of years ago. Northern Italians, Southern Italians, and when they were communicating with different dialects, they were always gesticulating to get their messages across. Just to put it into the sports context, here you go.
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girano, delle belle turbando il riposo, ma ci sento a dolcino d'amor. Delle belle turbando il riposo, ma ci sento a dolcino d'amor. Non più avrai questi bei.
We're good, Michael. I guarantee there's people outside, they gotta be going, what is that? What's going on in here? 93% of all communication is nonverbal, right? I'll repeat that. 93% of all communication is nonverbal. As people, we're hardwired. We're preconditioned to recognize nuance, cadence, tone, facial expressions, because at the end of the day, we are human beings. We are not pieces of paper. We are not platforms. We are not digital screens. I'm of Hawaiian and Italian descent. And listen, on my Hawaiian side, it's all about a smile and a head nod. Hey, how's it? How the ways? How are you? I know that's verbally communicating, but you get the idea, right? With the shaka-san, aloha. My Italian side, forget about it. And we're talking about Italians from New York and New Jersey, right? If my aunts and uncles, if Aunt Josephine was here right now and she couldn't use her hands to speak, if she couldn't gesticulate, then what's the point, huh? What are we talking about here? 1872, there was a book published by Charles Darwin. Yes, that Charles Darwin. He's the king of evolution. And he has sort of the go-to. It's the leading authority, still lauded by academics today, and it deals with non-verbal communication. It's thought of as the Bible. There's an anthropologist by the name of Ray Birdsweat. And Ray Birdsweat, through his studies, he found that the average person, we talk 10 to 11 minutes a day. Think about that for a second. We talk 10 to 11 minutes a day, which means the rest of the time, we're non-verbally communicating. Our sentences are 2.5 seconds long. He recognized that there's 250,000 expressions in the face alone. He also recognized that when we have conversations, the spoken word, that's only 30 to 35% of the message. The rest, that's right, it's all nonverbal. Charlie Chaplin. You know who this guy is? Actually, why don't we bring up those nonverbal cues? Carrie, I can do that. You recognize some of these? I'm sure you might be familiar with that last one. Yeah, these are part of our lexicon. I got ahead of myself, Michael. Now I'm back on track. Let's go. Charlie Chaplin. You may have heard of him. King of the silent movie era, right? Charlie Chaplin made millions of dollars. He was a Hollywood icon. The dude never said a word. He communicated, moving his eyebrows, twitching his mustache. From Charlie Chaplin to online dating. How's that for your transition of the week? 3 people just walked out on me. Where are you going? We're online dating. Online dating. Oh, and I just gained one. Or is that a waiter? Come in anyways. Online dating. Listen, it's what we do, right? It's what a lot of people do. Millions and millions of people falling in love every day online. Doesn't smoke, check. Likes dogs, check. Stays fit, check. Oh my God, I love this person. And then they get online and they write these blogs, right? Back and forth to each other, these dissertations, what they like, what they don't like. Not only do I love this person, but I found my soulmate as well. But those of us that have been fortunate enough to fall in love at some point or another during our lives, you know that love is one of those things, man. It's an energy, it's a feeling, it's a concept, it's palpable. It doesn't necessarily translate to an email, and you may not necessarily see it in a text. I have a friend. She lives in New York City, and her daughter was away at college. And they would communicate on the weekends via text messages. And one particular weekend, my friend reached out to her daughter, as she always did, and said, how are things going? And her daughter, as she always did, immediately texted back and said things are going well. And she accompanied that text with an emoji of a big smiley face. And her daughter was also on other social media with similar posts and text messages of things are going well in my world. And these emojis and these big smiley faces. Well, as it turns out, my friend's daughter, on that particular weekend, on that Saturday night, she attempted suicide. Yeah, She'd been holed up in her dorm room for 3 consecutive days. But how would you know? Hey, listen, she sent an emoji of a smiley face, and if we know nothing else, an emoji of a smiley face never lies. LOL. When you have faceless communication, when you're always down here and you're online, things get problematic. We need to be balanced. And when you eyeball and you talk to people like this creates trust. This creates understanding. Faceless communication, now you're susceptible to miscommunication. Now you're susceptible to conflict. 2 components that are very relevant in today's world. When you do this, you eyeball and you talk to somebody, and then you accompany that with a handshake, a touch, a feel of the elbow, of the shoulder. You can't replicate that in any email. You can't replicate that in any text. You're 34 times more likely to close a business deal when you interface as opposed to an email. You know what the 5th most used function is on your phone these days? Number 5, talking into one. We do 4 of the things before we talk into our phone these days. We tap, type, wipe, or swipe 2,167 times a day. We switch from a phone to a laptop to a tablet 21 times an hour. We now have a shorter attention span than that of the goldfish. True data. We're checking it at 8 seconds. The goldfish is coming in at 9. We're losing our ability for linear communication. I know what you're thinking. Well, Dan, come on, man. You can eyeball and talk to somebody online. There's apps, there's WhatsApp, there's FaceTime. Not the same thing. You can also watch a Lady Gaga concert on TV, watch the World Series, watch the Super Bowl on TV. Not the same thing as sitting in the front row live. We got a yearning, right? We have a need for this emotional fulfillment, this socialization. What I'm saying to you here today and the way I'm saying it, this doesn't translate to an email. What I'm saying to you here today and the way I'm saying it does not translate to a text. What this Hawaiian Italian is saying to you here today does not effectively translate to any written format. I couldn't just email the speech in. I needed to be here today in order to tell you the story. Just like you, from time to time, need to get out of your chair, get offline, leave your office, leave your desk, go eyeball somebody and talk to them and deliver yours. The title of my talk is A Balanced Attack. Not telling you to take your phones and throw it into the Pacific Ocean. That'd be environmentally unkind. We don't do that sort of thing in San Francisco. Secondly, it'd be very hypocritical on my part, right? I'd literally be lost without my phone. I'm a big Waze guy. I'm a Google Maps guy. There's 5 go-to apps I use on my phone on a daily basis. But I make a concerted effort to do this, to eyeball and talk to people. Because we need to eyeball and we need to talk to each other. We're the seesaw. We need to be balanced. This is what we're constantly doing, okay? As you sit there right now, your body, your physiology is trying to balance it out. You know, your sodium levels and your potassium levels, always trying to balance each other out. And then when you get to the most complex part of your body, the brain, and I don't mean to go Dan the science guy on you, but you know this thing, right? Your brain is comprised of 80 billion neurons, all these nerve cells that are quietly talking to each other, that are messaging each other, and then you have your synapse in the middle, and then everything's always constantly trying to balance itself out. That's us. That's our biology. But what happens if you're online excessively, if you're online too much, then things get disruptive, and then things get unbalanced, as I'll show you in just a sec. Listen, when I started this campaign, and I decided that I was going to talk, I haven't done a lot of these, man. This is unusual, Digital Summit, but I've done a lot of PR, a lot of corporate events around the country, some around the world. And I've also talked to a lot of high schools. I went to colleges. I've lectured middle schools all over this country. I wanted to go right to the source, right to that younger demographic. And I'm specifically talking about 11 to 26-year-olds. They, when I say they, the experts who do this for a living, they're calling it a mental health crisis. The kids today, and the numbers that they're seeing today over the last 10 years of kids that are dealing with anxiety, depression, loneliness, serious suicidal thought, all over the last 10 years. And oh, by the way, just happens to coincide with the spike in social media. Yeah, 10 years ago. And those record numbers of kids that are dealing with loneliness, detachment, serious suicidal thought, and anxiety over the last 10 years just happens to coincide with the spike in social media and the introduction of the smartphone. Coincidental? Yeah, I don't think so. Welcome to the Blue Light Cafe. You recognize that, right? That blue light. If you ever go and see somebody in the dark online, you see that blue light emanating from their screen, somebody on their phone in the dark, that blue light. Those are energy wavelengths, right? And those energy wavelengths are being transmitted directly into your brain cells. And what often happens, if you're excessively online, those energy wavelengths, they begin to mess with your neurotransmitters. And you know what that is, right? Your behavior reactors, your dopamine levels, serotonin, right? Epinephrine. And when you mess with someone's dopamine, right, and it gets a little skew, that's a dark and very problematic place. The World Health Organization just this past year has come out with a new addiction. It's called online gaming disorder, and it's targeted at people who are excessively online. And they have recognized that people today, especially kids, have this chemical imbalance where they're addicted to being online, just like being addicted to drugs, addicted to gambling, addicted to opiates. And a lot of these kids, they need help. In fact, there's the first recovery center of its kind. It's called Restart. It's in Seattle. I've been there. I've spoken there. And it's the last option for a lot of these kids and their parents because they want help, right? They don't want anything else in their lives. They just want to be online. They don't care about their friends. They don't care about school. They don't care about anything but being online. And some people in this room, what's happening in the world today is that we're living in this virtual world and getting further and further removed from the physical world. As I like to say, you're going down the river, and before you know it, you can't get back out. Those kids I talked about over the last 10 years, they don't talk to each other nearly as much statistically. Over the last 10 years, kids in high school, they don't socialize nearly as much. Over the last 10 years, and I find this hard to believe, but kids in high school, they don't go to as many parties. Girls have a tendency to be online more so than boys. And for a girl who's online 5 hours or more a day is 3 times more likely to be depressed than a girl who is not. And here's what I find astounding. All right, stay with me on this. This is to me the definition of ironic. We're coming to you from San Francisco, right? How fertile is this place? Startups, every coconut has got a startup. Millions and billions of dollars. This is the home of the Silicon Valley. It's the home of Facebook. It's the home of Google. From Northern California to Southern California, all of these opportunities. In fact, I'm sure you've heard of this state, right? This statement that if California was a sovereign country, it'd be the 6th largest and wealthiest, the 6th wealthiest country in the world today. Think about that for a second. Yeah, and people are making bank. And that's a good thing. And you couple that with the modern technological advancements of today, the ability to contact anybody in the world in a nanosecond, the hyperconnectivity, you can work from the comforts of your own home and still be productive, and everything that cell phone supplies, yet we're more depressed than ever before. What's going on here? Let the good times roll. We've never seen this sort of anxiety before. You know what the leading cause of death is for kids ages 15 to 30 right now? Yeah, it's suicide. All of this advancement, all of this opportunity, and we're more depressed than ever before. Now, when I come on stage, man, I don't want to be some guy, they count me down, what was that? I don't want to be somebody who's just going to regurgitate and throw statistics at you. I don't want to howl at the moon, as they like to say. I wanted to move the ball forward. So I teamed up with this gentleman. I wanted to be part of the solution. That's Isaac Rochelle. Plays in the NFL for the Los Angeles Chargers, and he had this moment of clarity one day. 2 years ago, he was drafted out of Notre Dame, and he was on his go-to app, Instagram. And he said, you know what am I doing? Here I am in the NFL, all this fame and fortune, and I'm in this little virtual world tied to this little box. And he decided at that very moment that he was going to quit social media altogether. And then, of course, his agent and his minions, those people that make money off of Isaac Rochelle, they said, no, that's not a good idea. You're now a brand, you're an entity. You need to keep these avenues of communication open to your thousands and thousands of followers. So he said, I'll tell you what, I'll compromise. I won't quit social media, but what I am going to do is I'm going to launch this new campaign. And I'm going to call it See You on Sunday. And what he asks everyone to do is take 1 day a week off of their phone, 1 day a week off of social media. Take Saturday off of social media, be interactive in the community, do something active with your friends, and see you on the football field on Sunday. So when I partnered with Isaac Rochelle, I had to take the plunge. I had to take the challenge. I had to take 1 day a week off of my phone. Now I'm cool with it. The first time I did it, let me tell you something. The first time you take 1 day a week off of your phone, it may sound easy. I'm here to tell you, it is not. Those first couple hours, right, you're stimulated doing other things. Then it gets later in the afternoon, your hand starts to itch. Let me just get on my app. Let me just text one person, please. And then nighttime hits and you power through. And then you wake up the next day. I'm not getting overly dramatic. I kid you not. But there's this sense of freedom. You ought to check it out. It's like, whoa, I'm no longer tethered to that thing. What are we doing? Let's go. And then I go back to my phone and I literally had this conversation. It's kind of like Dr. Phil-esque. I was like, hey, 11, you know I love you. You know I got mad love for you. And I'm always going to need you. You got all my contacts, but I'm going to continue to take 1 day a week from you for the betterment of this relationship. I'm sorry, what is your name? Emma? Can you stand up for a second? Sorry, I'm that guy. So Emma, first of all, do you think you could take 1 day a week off of your phone? I'm not calling you out. You don't have to. You do.
I actually started a digital detox camp.
Awesome. Boom, you should be right up here next to me.
3 days at a time.
That's great. Emma, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to ask me, say, hey, Dan, what was it like to sing with Taylor Swift?
Dan, what was it like to sing with Taylor Swift?
No, Emma, you know I love you. And you know I like to sing. I'm not good at it. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. I told you I suck, but it won't stop me. And I met Taylor Swift. I met her actually at a Super Bowl party. But I can't sing, and I never sung with her. Can you hook that up? Sorry. A big hand for Emma. Emma, stay standing for one more second. So Emma, do me a favor and text me that very conversation we just had. I'm not going to give you my phone number, but you see the challenge for Emma? If she's to put that in some sort of a word or text format and not capture the nuance, the cadence, the crappy singing, it's almost impossible. And Emma, by the way, while you're standing there, congratulations for what it is that you got going. Also, that's Emma, man. That's the essence of Emma. Emma's different from everyone else in this room. She knows where she's going, just like each and every one of you have your own thoughts. That's Emma. Emma is not comprised of likes and followers. That's Emma. But the only way we hear from Emma is via text message, is via an email, and we don't see Emma, we don't get Emma, we lose Emma. Thanks, Emma. You can have a seat. And we lose all of you guys. Can't lose you guys. I think I'm running out of time, so Michael. No, actually, before we get to that, I'm just going to use these guys you're going to be my chorus, all right? It's going to be easy for you guys. I need you to come loud and proud, all right? This is what scares me because I don't think I'm going to hear from anybody. What I need you to say is a balanced attack, a balanced attack, a balanced attack. You don't need to rap. Just say it once. And the cue is going to be, what do we need? You're going to say a balanced attack, a balanced attack. Let's go through it one time. Here's the cue. What do we need? Oh, that's awesome. Let's just go through a little dry run here. If any of you are thinking of busting out your phone during my talk here today, what do we need? All right, let's go. I think we're ready. If any of you have box seats at a Major League Baseball game, Dodgers, Angels, A's, what do we need? If any of you are helping the visually impaired, in other words, if you're helping a blind person cross a busy street, what do we need? If you're a Tibetan Buddhist monk and you've taken a vow of silence, what do we need? If you're at a funeral, right, even though it's a distant relative, what do we need? And finally, if you're too young to feed yourself, clothe yourself, if you're still being potty trained, what do we need? You guys are solid. You died a little bit there on the end, but that's all right. Michael, let's go out with a little music, okay? Just a little bit here. We'll do a little chain smokers. So look it. Not too loud. You're going to drown me out. All right. What do you do me a favor? I was going to ask for her to hold her phone in the air, but she's on it. Everybody just take out your phone for a second, all right? Just stay with me. Just raise it in the hand. Just raise your high. Let me see your right hand and your left hand. Raise that phone in the air. Everybody, come on, man. Now, and don't freak out. Do not freak out on me because you only have to do it for the duration of my talk, which is done in about a minute. Turn it off. And you can turn it back on when we're done. Or you can turn it on in maybe an hour. Or try turning it off for 2 hours. Try turning it off for like 5 hours. Listen, what I'm saying to you here today is not to throw your phones away, but to have a balanced attack, right? And sometimes, go ahead, Michael, turn it up. Sometimes we can all listen to the music. And even though I can't sing, we can all sing to the music as well. Thank you so much for having me here today. And thanks for holding your phones up. You can turn them on now.